bold predictions. We're making them today here on Locked On NFL. I am Tony Wiggins. He is James Rapien. And it's time, man. It's game week. We don't have to wait, and we don't have to sit here and anticipate anymore. James and I have a good show for you today here on Locked On NFL. What's up, my boy?
What's going on, Tony? Yeah, we're locked, we're loaded, and I can't wait to get to your bold prediction. Mine was very on brand for those that have followed me over the years. But first, a quick reminder that this episode brought to you by Brightco Jewelry and Watch Insurance. Brightco brings you comprehensive, fast, and affordable jewelry insurance for as low as $5 per month. Check out your special offer for Locked On listeners and get covered in under 2 minutes at bright.co/locked on. That's bright.co/locked on. And Tony, I have a feeling that our bold predictions are going to be in the same conference, but we will start with you because not only do we have bold predictions, we're going to get to our biggest question entering the 2022 regular season. And then we're going to dive into, for the first time this year, this season, our power rankings, which we will do every single week here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On NFL. But let's start. You have the floor. Your boldest prediction ahead of the 2022 campaign.
I hope Ross Jackson is listening, the host of Locked On Saints.
Here we go.
I hope he's listening.
Uh-oh.
First of all, my Seminoles went to New Orleans and conquered and came home. So now I'm going to give Louisiana some love, right? So I got to do this because somebody quoted last night and said that Peter King picked the Saints to come out of the West. James, you're my witness. And all of these people here on Locked On NFL, I actually said that 2 or 3 weeks ago, didn't I? So it's not as if I'm going to sit here and ride somebody else's coattails. But I'm telling you, and I'm going to give you a detailed explanation. I said explanation as to why I think the Saints have the best chance. Because of that, I'm predicting them to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
Oh, my God. We kind of got into this last week, and I thought you were going to come to your senses.
No.
You had 7 days to come to your senses. All right, that's a lot of hours. That's over 200 hours you had to think about it, to pray on it if you wanted to talk to whoever, including Ross Jackson. I'm not buying that, and I think the Saints roster is really good, and I like Jarvis Landry. I covered him. I like Chris Olave. I think he's a nice addition. Michael Thomas, who knows? Maybe he's got some juice left. We know what Alvin Kamara is. It's a quarterback league, and I love that defense too, but it's a quarterback league, and Jameis Winston is most known in the NFL for a 30 for 30. 30 picks, 30 tutties. I'm not saying he can't make big plays, but he's going to have a lot of mistakes and stub his toe plenty. I'm not buying Super Bowl hype for the New Orleans Saints. But go ahead, state your case. Go in. I'm not buying this. I'm selling this bold prediction all day long, but go ahead.
We know he can make plays.
Oh, here we go.
When we talk about Jameis. No, you just admitted it. He can make plays, but he makes his share of mistakes. I don't think playmaking comes with getting older, but I do think being smarter and not making mistakes can actually come from age and experience. I anticipate James is not going to make as many mistakes as he's made in the past, and that's why I'm making this prediction. I also think that a big part of being a quarterback is, do your people believe in you? And I think they do. I think Jameis has worked hard. I think he's in the best shape of his life. He looks thin, which I probably need to try to figure out what the hell he's doing. But he also had that laser surgery, I heard. And I heard he's not squinting anymore. And he's comfortable. And he knows this is his team. And this is a year that he needs to play well if he's going to get some big money. We've seen guys, man. I know I'm going to go back in the day when I do this. I'm going to name 2 people. We've seen guys like Jim Plunkett and Rich Gannon get the best out of themselves after their 27th, 28th birthday. Those guys had almost like MVP seasons, and Jim Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls after being a total absolute bust when he first started. We've just seen older guys. Vinny Testaverde. He didn't live up to his hype when he came, but we've seen these older Chris Chandler. I'm naming a bunch of dudes that were high picks. Don't be rubbing your face. Look up when I'm talking to you, man. You sitting there rubbing your face.
Don't come at me like that.
I see you acting like you got a headache. Like I'm the one with high blood pressure. Yes, I am.
I'm going to have high blood pressure after this. In fact, I'm going to have to schedule a physical and make sure I check in with the doc. You're buying stock in Jameis Winston. You're naming Rich Gannon like Jameis Winston is an MVP candidate. What? No.
Listen.
Look.
Let me make my point. He doesn't have to be an MVP candidate. He just has to be a person that doesn't make a ton of mistakes. Nobody's asking him to carry everything like he did. Let me really set this up with some real good football stuff, though. Some real basic stuff, and not just the hyperbole of me loving Florida State. I do think the defense, that tremendous defense with all of those playmakers,
good defense, no doubt.
I have the biggest concern I have is protection, really, more than anything, because Trevor Penning is going to be out for a little bit. But I love their skill position players, especially once Kamara comes back. And, Dennis Allen is getting a second shot. Jameis is getting a second shot. That coach combination thing. And then there's the continuity of Dennis Allen still being there. And here's the other thing. The biggest competition comes from Tampa in their division, and they've pretty much owned Tampa over the last couple of years with their physical ability. So I just don't think there's much resistance from Atlanta and Carolina. I believe the key in getting to that next level is having home field advantage. And because of the division and the fact that the toughest foe in the division is someone they have not had problems with, I anticipate they're going to get home field advantage for the playoffs. And that's why I think they're going to be able to make a run. We said all of this stuff about Matt Stafford too, and look what he did.
Yeah, because Matt Stafford is 3 times the quarterback Jameis Winston is. It always was, and was in a worse organization than Jameis ever was, and had to rise up and do all. I mean, come on. All right, don't Matt Stafford. Don't do that. Look, Jameis Winston, can he be okay? Yeah, but you know who you described? You know who you want Jameis Winston to be? You want him to be prime Andy Dalton. That's what you just said.
I knew you were going to say that. He can make throws. He makes throws. Andy Dalton. He makes throws. Andy Dalton couldn't dream about making.
No doubt, and he throws interceptions. Andy Dalton wouldn't even consider throwing. All right. So you just said you want someone who's going to basically manage the game and get the hell out of the way and not make mistakes. All right. Well, that's prime Andy Dalton. Okay. Do I think that prime Andy Dalton with any roster is winning a Super Bowl? I do not.
I don't think Jameis. I said they were going.
I ain't going because he's going to throw a pick. I think they might make the playoffs, but he's going to throw a pick on the road against the Rams. Or if you want to say it's going to be in New Orleans, fine. He's going to throw a pick 6, and Jalen Ramsey's going to high step in the end zone. Or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, let's get to my bold prediction since we spent 7 minutes on yours. Mr. Washed up Tom Brady, 45 years old. Was he getting plastic surgery? Was he on this Unmasked Singer or whatever the hell that stupid show is that everyone talks about that I've never seen in my life? Was he on that? It doesn't matter because he's still the GOAT. And I think he's going to remind people that starting this weekend and starting in prime time against your team, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, which I am glad that you didn't roll with the Cowboys in your bold prediction because I don't think they're going to be very good this year. But Tampa Bay is going to win this division. And my bold prediction, and it shouldn't even be that bold because there was an argument he could have been MVP last year, 45 years old. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers get the number 1 seed in the NFC, and Tom Brady wins MVP again at 45, just breaking all these different things. And I think a lot of people are saying, this is the last season. I don't know if it's going to be his last season because it's going to be hard to walk away if you win that MVP. So I'm buying stock in Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Proven commodities. They got a ring on their finger, and you're buying stock in Jameis Winston, Mr. Laser Eye Surgery himself. Maybe mine isn't bold enough, but man, yours is bold enough for the both of us, my man.
Buying stock in Jameis Winston, I'm buying at value. It's going to be worth more. You buying Tom Brady stock right now is like buying the most expensive stock in the world because everybody knows he's already good. So you ain't going to get no big return.
I don't think it is. Yeah. He's taking all this hate. He's taking all this hate. Are they washed up? Chris Godwin's hurt. I don't know, man.
Right. I would tell you this. There might be a little innuendo. What year is he in? Is this year 23?
23. Jordan year. I believe it's 23.
This is year 23, right? And how old did you say? How old did you say he was?
45.
That's the jersey Jordan wore when he came back out of retirement. And you know what? That's how Tom Brady's going. That's how Tom Brady's going to look. He's going to look like 45 Jordan. He's going to look like he's almost there, but he ain't quite there because at some point there's I hate to say it, but there's something that'll bring you down, man. Marital problems. I know more than anybody. I'm trying to tell you something. That is a kryptonite to any hero. If he can overcome that stuff and be myopic enough to win, listen to me. If he can overcome whatever all of these reports are, and he can be myopic enough to say, you know what, I don't care about none of that. I'm gonna care. That stuff works in individual sports. I don't think it works in team sports. For the guy who wants to work harder than anybody else to just all of a sudden take 2 weeks off in training camp and just do things and go against the grain of things that he's always preached. And now the wool is off that he was talking to other teams while he played for the Patriots and when he played for those same beloved Tampa Bay Bucs you're talking about. So everybody kind of looks at him a little different, like, well, you ain't as dialed in as you've always said you were.
I'm going to respond to these comments, which are probably about as wild as your Saints are going to the Saints are when the Saints go marching to Super Bowl 57 comments. But first I have to tell you about Brightco, because if you've bought any type of jewelry, whether it's a nice watch, whether it's an engagement ring, whether it is a necklace, pendant, anything, you need to get to Brightco, because you don't want to be the person that didn't get the insurance that Tony and James talked about on Locked On NFL every single Wednesday. Why? Well, because Brightco makes buying insurance for your engagement ring, your watch, whatever, so easy that you can get covered on your phone in 2 minutes. That's it. You're not going to find a better deal on great coverage that's affordable, that's going to have you covered. So if she loses that engagement ring, if you lose that watch that she got you for Christmas or that she got you for your birthday, you're not going to be in as hot of water because it's insured with Brightco. So go there now, bright.co/locked on. Again, that's bright.co/locked on.
We thank you for making us your first listen of the day here on Locked On NFL Wednesday. Showed up to watch me whoop on James a little bit. By the way, James, I was the dude
right now.
Yeah,
I got to address this Tom Brady nonsense.
All right, but first, I was the dude that didn't have insurance, and I jumped into the ocean of Mexico with my ring on, and I lost it. So, I got to be transparent and self-deprecating and let y'all know that did happen to me. So, go ahead and address the Tom Brady stuff.
Are you Locked On NFL listeners going to listen to a man who's rolling with the Saints, betting against Brady, and didn't insure his ring that he got in the ocean with? Are you going to do that? I can't believe you just gave me that ammo right there. Okay. So in all seriousness, even though I'm kind of serious about what I just said, because I can't believe you did that. Come on now, Tony. That's an amateur move. You know what else is amateur? Betting against Tom Brady because NFL teams wanted him. It was a joke a couple of years ago that the Chargers, the 49ers, the Chargers were all in, but the 49ers would say, nah, we're okay. We'd rather have Jimmy G. Excuse me? If Jimmy G was that dude, he would have hit Emmanuel Sanders deep late in the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs wouldn't even have a ring. They wouldn't even have a ring if Brady was the quarterback that year. And so these teams passed on him. I think that matters? That is going to impact Tampa at all? No, because Tampa is completely changed because of Tom Brady. He's completely changed everything about that organization, how we look at that organization, how we feel about that organization. And so when I look at this roster, they added Akeem Hicks in the middle, who was an upgrade for Ndamukong Suh from him next to Vita Vea. I like the defense. I like all three levels of it. I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with again this year. Now, are there some question marks on the offensive line? There are, but it's a weapons league. They got the weapons. They got the quarterback. I think they're going to be just fine. In all of this other stuff, I think it's more outside noise than it is inside noise. And as far as the marital stuff, Giselle, look, he's still playing at a high level, okay? He's still in his prime from a playing standpoint. You can't blame him for wanting to play a little bit longer.
Yeah.
A little bit longer.
Yeah.
So she'll get over it.
So just
to be quite frank, she's going to get over it.
Yeah. So just so we're clear, I don't think the Bucs are going to fall off the face of the earth. Because if they did that,
just
then
Tom Brady.
No, not at all. But my point is I can think that it's not mutually exclusive for me to think that New Orleans is going to be better than you think, and that Tampa will kind of be what they've kind of been, but still not get over the hump. That offensive line part that you glossed over, just you want to skip over. That's very, very important for a 45-year-old quarterback who's not mobile. That's an extremely important piece. The other thing is, I like Todd Bowles, but more importantly, I like Byron Leftwich. And the what got me to this point of thinking that it's just so many things working against them is this. Byron was almost, according to reports, the coach here in Jacksonville. And for a lot of personal reasons, I really want him to get a head coaching job. They've won a Super Bowl. They played really well and were really close to getting another one. And he didn't get a job. I don't want this to be the year that they take a step back and people go, okay, I don't want folks to start Eric Bieniemy doing that to Byron Leftwich. And so because I'm so wary that that's going to happen, to be honest, that along with offensive line changes is why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling.
Good. Well, Bruce Arians was the reason they got in the way last year. There's a reason he's not there anymore. I think they're going to hit the ground running. And don't you worry, Saints fans, you might be in the playoffs, and you might beat the Bucs. I get it; it's a tough matchup. The Bucs are winning that division, and I expect them to be right in the mix as far as Super Bowl contenders go this season. Even with 45-year-old, everything is crumbling around him in his personal life and his age and everything. Tom Brady, that people seem to be saying that'll change midway through the year. Anyways, the biggest question. What's your biggest question going into the 2022 season, Tony?
My biggest question is, are we going to have that conversation about Justin Herbert? And what I mean is not as a player, but as a leader and as a winner. Or are we, if the Chargers do not win, are we just going to point the finger at Brendan Staley? See, when teams win, players get all the love. But when they lose, coaches get all of the hate. And while I would agree that he is way more important than the coach, I think if he doesn't elevate them above what's around him, because every great quarterback does that, Brandon Staley could be the reason why that they're not going as far as they're supposed to go. But they can't be below 500, even in that tough division, if we think Justin Herbert is as good as we think he is. He has to show that he can lift this team. He can lift this team beyond just what their identity is and have them play above what they're supposed to. They got a lot of really good players, especially on defense. So we really, and they've had a lot of good offensive skill players with Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler and Mike Williams last year. Now that the offensive line is fixed, there are no more excuses. Justin Herbert has to be more than just a guy with tremendous talent. He has to be a quarterback who is also a tremendous leader.
I agree. I agree with that one. And I'm going to give you one more, and I'm going to give you a quarterback. And it's a team I've been pretty critical of, and I think deservedly so, given the fact that it's a weapons league and they just don't have many of them. And they traded Davante Adams, and I get why, but can Aaron Rodgers, the back-to-back MVP, can he rise all boats? And will he be able to win in a different way by spreading the ball out and maybe a little bit more of the running game and a better defense in Green Bay? Will they be able to win like that? And not just win like that in September, October, November, but win like that when it matters? Will they be able to go to San Francisco and win? Go to Los Angeles and win? Go to Tampa? Go to New Orleans, since you think that the Saints are Super Bowl contenders? That's always the expectation when you have a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' level. And what they're saying is, we're going to win a different way. And I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson and Sammy Watkins and all these guys. I mean, because Marquez Valdes-Scantling obviously isn't in town anymore either. Alan Lazard is in town. You know, I mean, it's much, much different than it was. And so that is something that I want to see with the Green Bay Packers. Is Aaron Rodgers, we know he's great, not downplaying that at all, even though the sideshow stuff is a little weird to me. But is he great enough at this stage to not only get Green Bay to where they were last year, but win in a different way and get them over the hump? Because if we're not talking Super Bowls in Titletown, then what's the point when you got a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, right? So that's a disappointment to me, unless they're in the mix again this year, despite the additions and subtractions in those offseason trades, including the one that included Davante Adams going to the Las Vegas Raiders.
There have been two things about them outside of the sideshow that you talked about with the way that they're constructed. One thing was that folks said that Aaron wasn't getting enough weapons. And this is when they had a dynamic offense, right? They had a dynamite offense. He was throwing for 40 some odd tutties and very few interceptions. And they were scoring all of these points. So the one complaint was that the front office wasn't giving him the appropriate weapons on the outside, even though they had a first ballot Hall of Fame at wide receiver and had a Pro Bowl at running back. The second thing is, and this is the big one, until last year, I said that they didn't have no hind parts. They needed some sandbags in their pocket, because every time they played New Orleans or Green Bay, somebody will punch them right in their face, and their lack of physicality would show up. They transformed that team to the point where they built the offensive line and that defense, and that's not true anymore. So that's what they've been doing the last couple of years. They've been transforming this team and changing the personality of this team to the point where they lost a playoff game last year where they only gave up 13 points. The problem was they weren't dynamic enough, and then they got let down by special teams. So they very well could have only given up 6 points in that game last year in the playoffs and won the type of game that I'm talking about. I think this year is going to continue that transformation. Whether it works or not is yet to be seen. But if you're going to have a quarterback that can manage that situation and put the ball where it needs to go when guys aren't quite as open, and you want to play like the 90s Dallas Cowboys, no better dude than Aaron, because he can put the ball where very few people can. And I think that we'll just have to see if they can do to other people what the 49ers did to them last year.
Up next, we're going to dive into our first power rankings of the 2022 NFL season right here on Locked On NFL.
All right, man, I got to let you guys know about Prize Picks. That's right, Prize Picks. What it is, man, is prizepicks.com. They select their daily fantasy entries and player projections. And then you have to decide whether those guys are going to do more or less than what Prize Picks suggested. Now, you can pick anywhere between 2 to 5 players, and they will go score more or less than the Prize Pick projection, and you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. Here's what you can do. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. It's safe, and you have fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. What you have to do is download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can create a 100% instant deposit match of up to $100 when you use the promo code Locked On. That's one word, Locked On. If you put in 100, Prize Picks will give you 100. If you deposit $50, they will give you $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match of up to $100 at prizepicks.com.
Let's keep things rolling here on Locked On NFL by looking at the power rankings. Pre-week 1, Locked On NFL hosts from across the network voted, and the Buffalo Bills are number 1 in these rankings, Tony. Surprise you that the Bills are number 1?
Does not surprise me. I will tell you that I voted the Rams number 1, and I did that because they're the champions until somebody says they aren't. And I know last year doesn't count towards this year, but it's a Buffalo team that let a team score on them in about 15 seconds. I'm just the last impression, 13. Even though whatever it was, it's the lasting impression that I have of the Buffalo Bills. And they still got the same coaching staff they had last year that did not just kick the ball and let it roll on the ground so that the Chiefs could not do that to them. So I think personnel-wise, they're fine. They have to replace Brian Daboll, and they have to now, as a coaching staff, learn how to get over that little mental hump and be able to, put their players in a better position and not let them down when you get the opportunity like that. So it's the Rams for me at number 1 until otherwise. But yeah, it does not surprise me that people believe Buffalo is very good, because I think they are.
I'll run through them here because you mentioned the Rams. They're second, followed by the Bucks, Chiefs, Bengals, Packers, Chargers, 49ers, Broncos, and Ravens. That's the top 10. I'll just go through them all. The Eagles at 11, Raiders 12, Colts 13, followed by your New Orleans Saints at 14, the Arizona Cardinals, Dallas Cowboys rounding out the first half of the league, followed by the Titans at 17, Dolphins, Vikings, and Patriots at 20, the Steelers at 21, Browns 22, Panthers 23, followed by the Lions, Commanders, Jaguars, Seahawks, Jets 29, Houston Texans, the New York Giants at 30, the Falcons, and the Bears coming in dead last. Not many surprises for me, just overall. I will say, to me, having the Chiefs at 4, that's a little. The Bengals beat the Chiefs twice, right? And there is no Tyreek Hill there in Kansas City anymore. And why I think the Chiefs are right there, and they play the Bengals late in the season and could certainly beat Cincinnati. That's a question mark to me. I also think it's interesting to have a team like the Ravens behind the Broncos. I don't know, man. I might have the Ravens ahead of the Broncos. I like the Ravens. So there are a couple things here that stand out. The Cardinals at 15. Is this the year Kyler makes a jump? That would be the one of my biggest questions that didn't, hit the cutting board floor. And instead, Aaron Rodgers won that battle. Would you have the Chargers ahead of the Packers, or do you like where the Packers are at 6?
I wouldn't have the Chargers in the top 10 until they prove it to me.
Wow.
No,
not in the top 10. Okay.
No, you got to prove it. The quarterback's great. I don't know about the coach. I would not have them that high. I probably would not have Baltimore that high either, because they had so many people injured last year. And I'm a little bit shocked that the Steelers and the Patriots are as low as they are, because I think the credibility that comes with those two coaches and those two programs, I would think that they'd be a little bit higher. And then they both can still they can both play defense, even though I know the Steelers have some questions on the offensive line. But I too would have the Bengals higher than the Chiefs. And the reason why, I actually have the Bengals higher than the Bucs. And the reason why is because they got better on paper. They got better, and they're going to be more confident. And the areas that they were hurting, they shored them up. And now they're going to get everybody back. And they got Jesse Bates in camp and got more secondary help. So with Daxton Hill, I really don't see a glaring weakness on their team, and they're young. So there's no way I'm putting them, at 5. They have to be at least 1 or 2 spots higher, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I understand it. And that's, that's one of those things where I think they're going to have to earn that respect this year. A lot of these teams, Seattle at 27, probably high for me. I don't know. I don't really there's not much I like about Seattle.
I put the Jets above them, but I also would put my Jaguars a little bit higher. I had them at 24. But it's good to see them it's good to see them looking down and seeing 6 people up underneath them, because that means they're not the bottom of the barrel anymore. But I think, we'll see after week 1 and mainly after week 2 how this thing's going to move around. The funny thing you mentioned about Arizona, they're 15th. Remember last year when people had them at number 1 on our, remember we had a thread on Locked On NFL where we were just going ballistic about them being number 1. So the fact is they're like 10-1 in their first 11 games, and then all of a sudden or something like that, they fell off the side of a hill. But how the mighty have fallen, and this is really because Alex Clancy is going to be laughing, because he knows nobody believes in Cliff Kingsbury, so he's justified with people having them 15.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the Cardinals do. It's going to be fun. This time next week, Tony, we'll be reacting to week 1, looking ahead to week 2. Just a reminder to make Locked On NFL your first listen each and every day. And if you want to hear more Tony, catch him on Locked On Jaguars. Catch me on Locked On Bengals daily. For Tony Wiggins, I'm James Rapien signing off for now on a Wednesday edition of Locked On NFL.